Welcome to another HackerRank challenge. This one is called String Validators, and in this one we're provided with a string, for example QA2, and we're supposed to work out whether there's any alphanumerical characters in it, which would include numbers and alphabetic characters, whether there's any alphabetic characters, any digits as in numbers, and also if any of the characters are lowercase or uppercase. So in this case, this is true for all of them, so we would print out true, 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 true. So in order to do this, we're actually provided with a number of built-in functions in Python. This one, for example, is upper, takes a string, and just puts out true if all the alphabetical characters in the string are uppercase, and returns false if there are any lowercase characters in the string. You can find out more about these string methods in the official Python documentation, which I will link below. Okay, one thing that we need to deal with here is that these methods check whether all characters are uppercase or all characters are alphanumerical. So for example, this string contains alphanumerical characters A, B, 1, 2, 3, but also a character that is not alphanumerical, in which case this method will return false. However, what we're trying to find out here is whether there are any alphanumerical characters. Now, as always, there's many different ways of dealing with this problem. We'll choose a way that is not particularly elegant, but it is quite robust. So what we will do is we will break down the string that we're given in its individual characters and then check with these methods up here each and every of those characters. And if the method returns true for one of the characters, then we will change our appropriate value to true. To make things a bit more manageable, we're going to create some variables where we're going to store Boolean values. And initially, we're going to set all of those to false. So the first one's going to indicate whether we have any alphanumerical characters. So we'll give that a descriptive name such as alphanum, and we'll set that to false. And we do this for all the other characters now. Okay, next we want to break down our string into the individual characters so we can check each and every one of them individually. The way that we can do this is just using a for loop. So for C, which we'll call our character in S. So this will address each and every character, and we can confirm this by just printing out C here, and we should see, how our string is being divided up into the individual characters. Next, let's check whether this character is alphanumerical. So, and if that is the case, then we want to change our variable alphanum from false to true. So we'll see if C is alphanumerical. So we go if C, and we'll use our method that we're being provided with up here, which is called isAlNum. In that case, we want to set alpha num to true. So this means that if there's not a single alphanumerical character in the string, this will never be true, and therefore we won't set our variable alphanum to true, and it will just remain false. What we can do now is basically just repeat this for all of the others. Now all that is left to do is to print out the values of our variables. Okay, let's give that a try and submit our code. Passes all the test cases, wonderful. Now this isn't super satisfying though, because it feels quite inefficient, right? In this case, we're checking each character individually to find out whether it is alphanumerical, whether it's a digit, alphabetical character, and so on. When we know that these things among each other are correlated, as in there is a logic to this. So for example, if something is not alphanumerical, it's definitely also not a digit, an alphabetical value, and if it's not a alphabetical value, it can also not be upper or lowercase. So a good exercise may be to go through this code and see if we can make it a little bit more efficient and ensure that we're not constantly checking characters when we don't really need to. A couple of examples would be if this isn't alphanumerical, we know we don't even need to check all of these. So we can move this over here so that these will only be executed if we find that a character is alphanumerical. Similarly, we kind of know that if the alphanumerical character is a digit, then it cannot be alpha. So we can actually just replace this with an else. Now, whether it's upper or lower is only relevant for alphanumerical characters, so we can put those here. And we know that if something is not lower, then it has to be upper, provided that it is a character. So we can actually also turn this into an if-else situation. And what we're gaining by this is that as we're working our way through this string, we're actually doing a lot less comparisons and a lot less checking. Now let's see if this still runs or whether we broke something. Nope, that's still good. And that should actually be a lot faster and more efficient. And maybe you can play around with this a bit and see if you can make this even better. So one thing that we could probably improve on is that once all of these are true, we can actually break out of this for loop because nothing's going to change anymore. Anyways, for now, this is good enough, and we'll move on to the next one. See you there.